So let's talk about China. Specifically, let's talk about the status of women and girls in China and in the Chinese culture. Which is thousands of years old, filled with treasures and traditions and wisdom. And yet, today, in 2015, this superpower takes pride in their policy of seeking to solve the world's population problem by limiting each family to one-child policy. A noble intention. And the result is an entire generation in China now whose men will not be able to find a female mate in their own culture, even if they desired. The imbalance is so great because of the disproportionate births of sons and preferential aborting or murdering of female babies. And this information was awakened in me just very recently from watching the movie called It's a Girl. So there's many more facts in that movie, and I cite the ones that remained alive for me. And the point is, what is the result of this? And it's easier to live in my current reality believing that that's happening over there, very far away in geography. And what I believed until just a few weeks ago, I believed that this was something happening long ago, but not anymore today. The fact is, it's still a current reality, which means it's still being accepted by the consciousness of humanity. And the people in the culture have not yet woken up to a different possibility or to the consequences of that policy. And this, when I envision this entire generation of men who will not have women in their culture to mate with, there's two possibilities come to mind. One is they will be drawn to mate outside their culture and to adopt new ideas about what partnership means. Two is these men, in the grief and the loss of this entire generation, will go through their own awakening. And these men will teach the world about the importance of honoring women. The men will teach us about the importance of honoring women through their own journeys of loss, grief, anger, pain. And how have I come to even care about this? So I am those Chinese women. Only I chose to be born in the United States, where women, at least relatively, are honored more as voices in our overall economic picture. And let me say this differently, because I'm not different from those Chinese women. I chose to be born in the United States. And my lineage still told me that women are inherently less valuable than men, economically, biologically, etc. And that's just the way it is. And my journey was, get an education, and then you'll be equal. Then you'll be able to essentially be like a man. And this is what I pursued. Got the highest possible educational degrees and worked in the highest echelon of the business world as a man, wearing suits, sitting around the table with men, conducting business as a man, learning from the best in the business who were men. And I knew there was something I wasn't expressing and that I wasn't experiencing in my life. And so my heart led me to leave. Against all rational explanations, my heart led me to remember a dream from early in my life where my heart was touched and moved by a woman who was dressed as a man and led many people in co-creating music, bringing the power of beauty into the world, the power of commitment into the world through making violin music, and doing this from a young age, believing in pure potential that we already are at 3 years old. And so I set out to do that, and I set out to do it my way, and yet the only tools that were awake in me were the ones that were taught to me by men, and I didn't know how to be seen as a woman because it wasn't safe to be a woman. If I were to show up as my full woman self, I risked being devalued. And let me tell you the magnitude of that fear in my lineage brain, in the inherited DNA that goes back all of those thousands of years in China, where being born, coming onto this planet as a girl, meant your survival was at stake from the minute you showed up. It was an evaluation of whether this economic burden was going to be taken on. So imagine the emotional body experiencing that over thousands of years, storing it and having no voice with which to express it, nowhere to be seen and heard as that fear loved. I hold that as my Chinese woman. And how did I protect that ancient part of me who was never honored for being fully a woman, fully being seen and heard as my woman power? Not as a woman dressed up as a man, not as a woman denying her strength and being pretty, nice, polite, acceptable, and not being an angry woman hating men. Not being a woman trying to prove her worth by earning as much as men at men's game. Not by being a woman trying to fix men and make them into women. But as myself, a whole woman with my love and my strength, my beauty, my firmness, my gentleness, my presence, my willingness to love my fear of being devalued by an old belief system that worked. An old belief system I choose not to believe in anymore. I choose to honor all of me and be my woman. Be my Chinese women. Imagine the immensity of love that is required to overcome thousands of years of a standing wave of belief system still being expressed today in that part of the world, because it's the only belief system they know. It's what the brain has believed is required for survival, to protect the fear of what would happen if women were important, if women were essential, if women's voices were celebrated as essential elements without needing to annihilate or fix the men, without the women needing to imitate the men, but women creating within themselves a world in which women are honored. So it's within. I open the doors inward, and I find my woman within. I find my honored woman within. And this woman within doesn't need anyone else to change, doesn't need the world to change. This woman within is her power, is my power to change my world within and create my outer world from my power of my inner world. And this is how we create. We create the world of our desire by honoring our desire and by finding the root, the inner place that has not been touched with love, and we touch it and we love it in ourselves. And we walk in that capacity to love ourselves as we're with everyone in our world. And the way we've been doing it, according to the mind, to the old belief system that's about controlling others and solving problems out there and having policies to keep things a certain way out there. It's like if we know if we step on the tail of a cat, that its mouth will open. I love that image. So we're stepping on the tail of a cat and its mouth is opening. What do? We try to research the how and the why of a cat's mouth opening, studying the anatomy of the cat's mouth, researching ways to wire it shut, cutting off the vocal cords of the cat. We study it, we understand it, and we can explain this. And how do we actually, if we want the cat's mouth to close, are we willing to take our foot off the tail? Are we willing to see the connection between what we're doing and who we are, what we're bringing and what we're creating, and what we're seeing as a result? And the answer from the old belief system, which is it has as strong a will to survive as anything that's fighting to survive. It needs to be believed in to survive. So any threat to that belief will be met with the resistance of some emotion. And by turning away and avoiding the emotion and coming back to the belief system, we keep the belief system alive, and we keep our world operating on that belief system. And at this point, you might be saying, turn off the video and go back to life as normal. Because what does this mean? It means that we actually have choice and responsibility to look within and to feel. And who wants to cry in public? Who wants to show their feelings in polite company? Who wants to cry for all of the women in China? It wasn't me. But when I touched the place in me who had not been willing to make it about me, the place in me who was very much more comfortable enjoying my comfortable life here in America as if it were separate, as if everything I've been acting out and experiencing has been separate from all of my Chinese women. Wow, that was a lot easier, and in a way not, because there's only so much we can dance around the core issue before something in us says, feel me, see me, touch me, love me. And we just become so skilled at avoiding and skilled at the illusion that this whole world we've created of convenience without feeling has become our accepted standard of numbness. And this is not about getting on a plane and solving problems in other parts of the world. Please, let me distinguish. It's about being willing to open the doors of your own heart and feel in you, touch in you what you have not touched, and to love and stay with what you feel. And live from that love. Live from your love. So what I have to share is so much more than 10-minute or 20-minute videos, and I choose to share in bites for this format. And I trust that you who are seeing this will find your love and find your path as I continue to share.